File this one under videos that I wish I never made. I'm Bill from cruisehabit.com, and I'm isolated with COVID here on Virgin Voyages Scarlet Lady. So up until yesterday morning, that was turnaround day for this ship, we were having a fantastic time with the group, Cruise Habit Group Cruise. We've got others coming up. We'll talk about that, but you can check out virginvoyagesgroupcruise.com. It was a really, oh my God, it was so successful. We had so much fun, a wonderful group of people. I'll have videos and articles about all of that. And the last night of the cruise, Larissa and I took a test because we were staying on back-to-back and thought, well, in case our morning is going to look different, wanted to know in advance. Negative, we're feeling good. The next morning, 10:45 a.m., we tested again for turnaround day. Virgin tested us. Negative, all good. Yesterday, started feeling a little tired in the evening, but I mean, we had a rough, did a lot of partying over the last week with the group cruise. And so didn't think too much of it. But in the middle of the night, I realized I had a fever. And I woke up with a sore throat, and I tested in the room, and it was negative, or positive rather. And they did a PCR on both of us. That's positive. So they've moved us into a different room, and I'll talk about what the process has been. But first, I need to finish eating because we hadn't had breakfast, and then we got moved. All the madness of that, and Virgin's been really helpful. But we ordered some room service, and hey, it's Larissa. We're kind of all over the place right now. We didn't want to spread out too much or unpack. I'll explain why in a minute. I'm picking up the same video many hours later. I had every intention after the last part of jumping right back into it, but got delayed with a long nap, but a well-needed nap. I sound a little congested, but I feel better than I did this morning. So jumping back in, we are in an XLC Terrace room. That's where they moved it. So funny enough, we got a larger room than we had booked for the second leg for this week. So I guess that's a plus, a little more space to spread out since we'll be spending quite a bit of time here. In that last video, or in that last clip, we didn't, the reason I said that we didn't start to unpack yet was after testing positive and going down to the medical center and just going through the whole process, filling out paperwork, we were hungry. We hadn't had breakfast and it was already lunchtime. So we really wanted to eat. And as we're eating, we found the TV wasn't working in that room. I can count on one hand the number of times I've used a television, turn on a television on cruises. I'm not a big TV person, especially when I'm sailing. But it's kind of important for this particular event. So they did send somebody to take a look at it. We hung out on the balcony while they came in to take a look at it, wearing protective gear. And they said, yeah, it's going to take a little while. So we ended up moving rooms yet again. And I was concerned that was going to happen. So that's why I didn't unpack before. So that's actually means it's our fourth room since getting on the ship, because we had a suite the first leg. We'll talk about the group cruise and other videos. Then we had a regular sea terrace, then the XLC terrace next door, and now the XLC terrace that we're in now. It's an adventure. Sailor Services has called a bunch of times throughout the day to check up on us, see if there's anything we need. They've been very kind and apologetic, which is funny. It's certainly not their fault, right? It's nobody's fault. These things happen. So what happens now? Well, they explained that we are going to get a prorated refund for this sailing. So I don't know exactly how they'll calculate that to the hour, or the number of nights, number of full days, or what that means. But this happened on the first morning after the first night of this 5-night sailing. So that's pretty standard from what I understand most cruise lines are doing. Nice that I don't have to pay for the part, so we didn't get to enjoy. I appreciate that. So also means that I don't really have to file any sort of travel insurance claim. You should still have travel insurance though, because my circumstance on this particular sailing is different. One, I have a credit card that offers some protections, even though I won't need them for this. But second, we're local. Even if a cruise line was going to help cover some of your expenses for isolation, in a hotel once the cruise ends or something like that. There could still be other expenses. You just don't know, and travel insurance is a good way to take care of that. A good travel agent can help you with that. For the rest of this cruise, talking about what happens now, I kind of implied this before, but we'll be here. We'll be in this room for the duration of the cruise. So for 4 nights. Today, tomorrow's a weekend, so I'll be working on some video about this, but also group cruise stuff that we enjoyed. And then Monday and Tuesday, we actually work our day jobs, which it'll be a little tight in here because usually one of us will work in the room, one of us will go into maybe a closed restaurant or the coffee shop and work, but we'll both be in here. We'll make it work, and that's if we're feeling up to working. Maybe we'll take some sick time. I don't know. Virgin is also taking care of our transportation home. So at the end of those 4 days, we would have otherwise Ubered home. We didn't park at the terminal. We live just under an hour away. So they're going to have a driver, some sort of transportation where they know they're picking up people that have COVID, and they'll take us home, and they're paying for that. So that's very much appreciated. I figured they would do that. But at the same time, it's kind of a weird thing. When you live like an hour away, it's like, okay, well, if it was a flight, usually their answer is that they will quarantine you locally and then help you with change fees. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. So good to know that that's a non-issue. That said, nothing. It's not that everything is going perfectly. I have noticed a few things where I was kind of surprised at how the process has worked so far. It's my first time in this situation, certainly. Sorry. Sore throat and congestion, so talking a little weird. The first one happened actually before we really knew what was going on, and that is when I woke up this morning and I tested in the room because I wasn't feeling well, tested myself, and it was clearly positive. I called downstairs, I called the medical center, and I explained, hey, just woke up feeling like garbage, tested positive on an antigen. What should we do? And they said, well, are you able to come to the medical center for PCR tests? And I said, yeah, we're able to. I just thought it was peculiar. Why would you want us walking around the ship and exposing others? Now, if they didn't have the resources to send someone to test us in the room, I'm surprised maybe they wouldn't have had security escort us, through less crowded corridors, securing elevators for us, something like that. So we just tried to do our best. We put on masks and we took the stairs and avoided people, and it worked. But that was a little strange to me, and I've heard someone else say that that's been the case before on Virgin. Also, Ship Eats. So I have an article all about Ship Eats, their room service program. I love it. It's the best of any cruise line, in my opinion. But the menu is somewhat limited when it's all you're eating for 4 days, especially, and this is not Virgin's fault. We're vegetarian or sometimes pescatarian. And that's not ideal. I did ask for one off-menu thing they were able to accommodate today, and then for dinner I asked for another that they weren't able to, even though it was an Impossible Burger. And they have those in at least 2 places on the ship. I was surprised at that. Again, it's not that they owe me anything. I was just surprised. And I may try and ask again tomorrow. We'll find out what happens with that. Finally, the communication has just been okay. As I mentioned, Sailor Services has contacted us multiple times, just seeing if there's anything they could do, which I appreciate sincerely. They helped me cancel a tattoo appointment that I had, and took care of Larissa's spa appointment that she also had. But we weren't clearly informed about certain elements, like what to do with the trash. Like, do I have it over here? Yeah, they left us in the room. There's a biohazard bag, and I'm pretty sure what they want you to do is put all your trash in here and then throw it out in the hall whenever you need to. And that's fine. No issue there. But they didn't really explain that. What else? They didn't tell me when the medical center closed. So at some point I was like, I wonder if they have any NyQuil. And the medical center was already closed. And they said, well, you have to talk to them in the morning. Now, obviously, the medical center has people on call if there's an emergency, and this is not one. You can see, well, I might feel lousy. We're okay. Larissa's, in fact, peacefully sleeping right now, despite my talking. But I just thought it was weird that they wouldn't have given me a heads up on that beforehand. Now, I kind of wonder, some of the people in guest services and perhaps elsewhere on the ship, they're familiar with me. They watch my videos and were on the ship before for a week. They've talked to me. They helped us plan group events. So maybe they thought, oh, this guy knows the score. And that's on one hand fair, but on the other hand, like, this is one part of cruising that I've not experienced. So we'll see how all these things work out as the isolation continues. I will say, by the way, the cake pops, c'est magnifique. If you're gonna be sick and isolated, order the cake pops. Also, they have like little snack things here. As I knock the camera, chocolate covered pretzels. I like the little snack options they gave us. Thoughts on sailing during a pandemic is where I'll leave this. Just kind of an overall thing. And of course, we'll be doing more videos about this. I'll probably go live at some point during the sailing so we can do a Q&A. Though I'm sure there will be lots of questions down in the comments. This is not the way anyone wants to spend their cruise. Terrace and I have spent 94 nights on ships since COVID. So since June 25th. I think June 25th. Earlier than that. I'm messing this all up. Since June, how's that? Since that first Millennium sailing out of St. Martin. 94 nights. Tonight is night 95. And we went 94 nights without having COVID. I think that's a pretty good run. I was one of the very few people that I knew that hadn't had COVID yet. So I consider that a success. I suspect if we had been dining out, going to shows and things like that on land during this period of time, which we did some of, but not very much, certainly not nearly to the extent we did on ships, that we'd probably have gotten COVID earlier and when strains were worse, before there were vaccines, things like that. Not knocking those that do, just saying that, having all vaccinated passengers and crew and the pre-cruise testing helps. Is it perfect? Clearly it's not, right? Because yesterday at 10:45 a.m. on the back-to-back, I tested negative. And then this morning, not so much. But it's undeniable that these measures only stand to reduce the severity and the risk overall. And I appreciate, everything that the industry does. I'm glad we're back sailing again. This is a small price to pay for being back 94 nights, 95 now at sea. At least I have a hammock over here that I'll be, I'm sure, taking more naps in tomorrow. I did that earlier today. So speaking of tomorrow, I hope we feel better at that point, in part so I can work on putting out some more content about the group cruise, because the group cruise was a success. Oh, and in fact, group cruise. Sorry, I took notes, but clearly this is not my normal situation. In fact, mentioned in group cruise, I will say that I've reached out, and I'm still reaching out to some kind of one by one, but I've reached out to a bunch of the people in our group, all the people in our core group, and everyone I've talked to so far that has tested today, and I think most of them at this point have tested negative and are feeling fine. I hope that continues. Hopefully I wasn't shedding very much virus, if any, while they were still on board. So fingers crossed, because I don't want to get other people sick, even if it's not that bad. I don't plan on going around kicking people in the shins either, because I don't want people to be uncomfortable. So yeah, look for more content tomorrow. Hopefully some more upbeat stuff from the group cruise. I'll also have additional announcements coming soon about other cruises and other cruise news. And more video from this room. You know what? If I'm going to be sick, at least I get a hammock on the ocean. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like. I don't love it, but make sure to like this video, subscribe, and ring the bell so you're alerted next time we post a video, or even go live here from Scarlet Lady in isolation. Thanks so much.